All right. Awesome possum. Hey, what's up, and welcome to the Pulse Ox podcast. This is your guest, Eric Stopper. Just a reminder for everybody that we have an entrepreneur meetup happening every week, Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. We would love for you to come. This week, we are discussing how to set up an AI bot that can take all of your inbound calls. So whether you are running an auto body shop or you're running an online coaching business and you just don't have enough time to actually field those calls, hit us up, find me on LinkedIn, and I would love to show you how that's done. Join our meetup, meet hundreds of other people that have come, and we will get you taken care of and get you crushing it. I've got a wonderful guest today, and we're going to go ahead and have her introduce herself.
Hey there, I am Pat Honiotes. I do business from the inside out, the pathway to becoming a business badass. The whole idea behind this program is probably 90% of the people I know that are in business have no concept that their subconscious mind is running much more of their business than they ever thought possible. That's really where it's at. And so then I get questions like, well, if it's subconscious, I can't do anything about it. Well, you can when we make it conscious. And so that's the whole idea, is to give, from my perspective at least, is to empower people. Let them know how they can use their subconscious mind to really kick some major butt in business. That's the whole idea. And give them some hope. I run into so many people without hope in their business.
You know, everybody that listens to the show frequently has heard, I'm everybody's project. They've heard me go through all my ups and downs of business, and I've been there. I've been hopeless, and it's really interesting. I was just talking with a woman who's selling her house and her business to cover an EIDL loan that she got from the government for COVID, and it's like, what is happening? So I want the scoop on that. You do have a story prepared for us today, and I would love to dive in deep. Where in this world does that story begin?
Grand Island, Nebraska. And I always, not kiddingly, say Nebraska is a great place to be from. My family doesn't like to hear me say that, however. So you're talking about a lot of wind, a lot of dust, no trees. It's almost like a desert without being a desert. It all started probably when I was just a little over 3 years old. And my father called me a goddamn dummy every opportunity he could get. To where, when you start that young and you hear it often enough from those kinds of people, you begin to believe it. So there was that on a regular basis. And then in 8th grade, we had to take an IQ test to go to high school. And the priest came in and he said, "I'm so sorry, Patsy Joe, but you're just not smart enough to go to college. So you're going to have to take typing, shorthand, and bookkeeping so that you're not a burden on the world." Well, I stood for that for about 2 years, and then I took myself out of the dummy group and put myself in the college-bound group. People are having hissy fits, but I'm not one to be boxed in. So it kept going along that. I ended up working probably harder than I ever had to because I kept thinking it was stupid, and so I had to do these extra things. So I ended up getting my bachelor's, getting my master's, teaching at a junior college, starting my own business. And that always is there, or always was there. Now it's there just periodically, was I've got to do more. I've got to make. I wouldn't have wanted to work for myself during those years, because God help you if you sent something out of my office that had a mistake on it. I mean, I was absolutely unreasonable about it. I would, even when I would co-host or co-present with a colleague, I would hold back. And I never realized it, but I would hold back. There was one time where I actually physically hid behind the person that was 6'2". I'm 5'1", so that they couldn't see me, and spoke very little. And that went on for decades, probably until I was into my mid-50s. And I was in a workshop one day, and mid-sentence, this presenter stopped and he pointed at me and he said, "You." And I'm like, oh God, you can imagine what that did to my heart, right? And he said, you're a genius. You're hiding it. Stop it. And he said, what it is You see things in a different way. You see things and put them together in ways that nobody else even thinks about. And he said, that's genius. Stop hiding it. And man, the light bulbs went on, Eric. It was like, whoa. Because I do think funny. No, I think out of the box. I don't look at things in an ordinary way. And it felt like then whole pounds, tons of chains just dropped from me. Now, I'm not going to say that I never ever have a moment that I don't, but it was like I had lost 50 pounds just in that moment because it finally hit. Yeah, I'm just different. I'm just different. And so I do a lot of teaching and coaching around that. You know, when people put labels on it, doesn't make it true. Somebody can call you anything, and it doesn't make it true. The thing we have to remember is that that is their projection on us. We don't have to accept it. Because if we do, we can be chained for decades. So take them with a grain of salt. It's the whole big thing here. Get rid of those labels. And just because somebody says you're something doesn't make it so.
What if you're the culprit? What if it's you telling yourself the thing?
Exactly.
Because
exactly. What a great question.
I have been, I'll give you a little bit of context. So here I am, encouraged by my parents to be great. I had all the opportunities to public speak. I excelled in school. I did well throughout elementary, middle, high school, college. Did well. I've done well after college. I have a lot of empirical evidence to suggest that I'm doing a good job. And Pat, I just don't feel like I'm doing a good job. I stack the evidence of things that go wrong and the stressors that happen in my life and the things that honestly have been unavoidable, right, out of my control. And I use those as evidence of something wrong with me. And I went crying to my mom the other day about it. Like literally just beside myself over some silly issue that was easily resolvable. But part of my point to her was this awareness of like, why do I keep doing this to myself? Why am I locked in this stressful thing? What? And because like, sure, you know, my dad lived through 98 and worked us through 2008, had all the like financial stressors and stuff. And I don't think that he's the best, you know, bookkeeper, budgeter in the whole world, but we didn't have like, we were never homeless. We never had to move or anything. I had a very functional, normal, you know, I had football equipment, right? I know that was expensive. They were able to handle it. So I didn't have that deep financial trauma. It wasn't always easy, but I don't have like scars that I could show anybody that would get any street cred. And so part of my journey right now is I feel like there's something inherently wrong with me that is screwing everything up around me, that I am the problem. Literally, I say that sometimes. I'll be like, hey, look, I know I'm the problem here. And that hides its authenticity. It almost sounds like me taking responsibility, but it's this damning coffin manufacturing phrase that I've been trying to kick. And I've got a bunch of those like that. When I make a mistake, I go, oh, I'm dumb. And my partner got after me. He's like, no. I don't work with dumb people. You need to get that out of your vocabulary. Here I am with all kinds of reminders, and you can do it's all around me, and affirmation cards and morning meditations and mindset rituals and deep thinking and flow and, you know, processes that I do right when I get out of bed and brain games and just leagues and leagues of encouraging people around me cheering that it's all going to work. And I still can't kick this internal critic that appears to be the cause of all my issues. I know you're chomping at the bit to just like learn me right.
It's like
I'm ready. Lay it on me.
It's because there's something you don't know. Right. I don't know where you're from. Where I'm from, there in the springtime we get these yellow dandelions all over the yard, and the guy goes out and mows the dandelions, and the next morning you have twice as many, right? How do you get rid of dandelions? You have to dig down and pull it out by the root, right? So, Eric, you've got all the intellect around it. I mean, come on. You're a smart dude or you wouldn't be where you're at. Right? So you know intellectually what's going on. You can reason it out and all of that kind of stuff. But here's the thing. You don't know what your subconscious wound-driven belief is. And that's playing in the background all the time. So here's the thing. It's like, you know the lamps to where you can turn the knob and it gets brighter? That wound-driven belief, when it's playing full tilt, you're getting your butt kicked on a regular basis. When you can kind of calm yourself down and do some of the things, it comes down, it lowers it. But you never really get rid of it because you don't know what it is. It's subconscious. And what I'm going to tell you is there's a way to find out and make it conscious. Awareness always gives you choice. Now, I'm not going to tell you it's always a walk in the park because you have to, be cognizant and stay aware around it. But what you can begin to do is to use that subconscious belief to work for you instead of against you. The subconscious wound-driven belief is at the very soul level preposterous. It just doesn't, but that's not where it's at. Okay, you haven't touched that level of it yet. You've done it up here like every other person in the world. And so it's about going beyond our marvelous minds and going into our energy, our soul, and go deep. So somebody that's willing to go deep and go look at that, yeah, you can figure out what it is in a very short period of time. And then the key is dedicating yourself to using it for yourself on a regular basis. I get so excited I can't hardly stand it because I know when you discover what that is, it just takes a little bit more and a lot of practice to get you back where you want to be. And it makes everyday stuff so much easier. And all this energy you've been spending beating yourself up, tearing yourself down, just goes shh and flips around. Not only that, it helps you, but it helps your family. It helps the people that you work with because they're getting it. They're getting it too. So yeah, you just don't know what your subconscious wound-driven belief is.
I want my little boys. I have an 8-year-old and an 18-month-old. I want them, number one, to not have a stressed out dad. And
Absolutely.
and I want them to be full of love for themselves and right, like the father, like I've been working really hard on creating a longer fuse, right? So I don't get mad, especially at my 8-year-old who's just in 3rd grade going through it. You know what I mean? And I feel like I let that little one down the most. Is he needs bulletproof dad. I don't know. He needs somebody who has less anger. And it's funny because I've inadvertently raised this very introspective, meditative boy because he'll see me getting all out of sorts and he'll be like,
What a gift.
breathe,
What a
Dad.
gift.
And I'm like, I don't want to hear that from you right now, but thank you. Yeah, I'll breathe. So, Pat, I'm all into it. I meditate voraciously very often. I go subconscious. I do Jose Silva's 3-2-1 method where you go into the deep recesses and try to activate your alpha states. I do lots and lots of these activities
That's not it though.
to help me find it. So please point me in the right direction.
Well, this is going to sound like a shameless plug. I do that in my programs. We actually, on the very first session, I do what's called a leadership PhD. And after about 90 minutes, you will, and I don't tell you what it is. I'm not you, but you'll know. Within 90 minutes, you'll know what the wound-driven belief is. You will know the gifts you've received from that wound-driven belief. You will know words to use in your marketing to bring your ideal people to you. And you'll begin to learn how to start turning that around. But it's not going to be intellectual. Okay? Here's the thing. My training is in counseling psych and board certified medical hypnoanalyst, all of that. When you start putting that stuff together, you come up with a tool like Leadership PhD. I can just get so excited about it because it's also the gift that keeps on giving. So I've worked with someone and 6 months later they say, well, I'm back to square one. Or this happened. They go, okay, go to your life PhD. See, right there it is. And what that does it not only satisfies your subconscious soul-driven belief, it satisfies the mind too. Because I actually show you how to interpret what you're experiencing through that process.
Can I share something with you
Sure.
in great transparency? So a couple of people have I love the shameless plug. So good. Par for the course. Listeners, go take her course. Here's the thing though. I am the worst buyer of things that I think will be good for me. And I've got a couple of examples for you. I got introduced to reality transurfing by Hallie Evelyn, one of our podcast guests. Wonderful woman who mostly coaches other women who are high performers. She invited me to this course, was willing to pay over time, whatever you got to do. She was like, just manifest yourself there, just believe that you're going to be there, make it happen, be whatever it takes. And that afternoon, I all of a sudden realized it was 4. I was it started at 1, and I didn't take advantage of it. I got invited to a event in Colorado by a very good friend of mine named Erin Feel, who has been just so patient with me. And I almost burned that bridge with her just because I had too many irons in the fire and I just wasn't getting it done, wasn't serving her the way that I wanted to. She offered to come have me, attend this great meetup with her. And it's happening in 2 or 3 weeks, but there's a cost to it. And I've been so in company rebuild, reinvest every dollar, stress mode over the last year that someone gives me a price tag. You tell me about your course. And I'm I don't even want to hear the price of it. I don't even want to because I can't. That's where I'm at. I can't. It's not in the cards. I'm not able to do it. So
Okay.
snap me out of that first. You know what I mean?
Well, you're really good at BSing yourself, as most of us are. Okay? Because that's what that is. What you just gave me was a bunch of excuses. I can't afford it. I can't, even though people were giving you opportunities to be able to work around it. What's happening, Eric, is that wound-driven belief is playing in your head all the time. You know, what was it in the olden days when you'd go into the pharmacy or the grocery store and they'd say, buy Coca-Cola or whatever was playing in the Subliminal.
Yeah.
Okay, it's like that. It's playing all the time and you're not even aware of it, so you can't stop it. And it's not a matter of just snapping you out of this. Lord, if I could do that, I'd be in Greece on an island or something. All right? So it's not about that. It's going beyond your brain. Can I tell you what I'm seeing a little bit of here?
Absolutely. Please.
If I were to say to you, you're stuck emotionally at a much younger age, what age do you think that would be? First thought.
6. Someone's done this to me before.
Okay, but there's also a teenager in there that is pissed. Okay, so it's not usually just one thing, but there's also a teenager that's in there that's pissed. And it's about, and I think, I also get downloads, whatever you do with that. Okay, what I'm thinking is that teenager has been trying to stick up for the 6-year-old and it hasn't been working. Something happened at 6. Do you know what it is?
No idea. I had a pretty decently normal, good life.
Absolutely.
I had a bunch of friends leave me when they were all military. They left in the space of 7 months. They were all gone. So I was left with 0 friends. But that was a little bit later. That wasn't sick.
Let me ask you a question. When you were born, or when your mother was carrying you, was there any kind of a problem?
No, I was her easiest pregnancy.
Okay, so then it had
third
to
in
be
line. I'm the youngest kid.
Okay, then it had to be a little bit after that. And what's great about this is I'm clear now that there wasn't, because you didn't say, well, I don't know. You said, no, there wasn't. But it can start that early. So there's something at 6, yeah.
So for folks who are like me, I am clearly your ideal customer.
Oh, yeah.
Where can everybody find you?
The best thing to do right now is to go on LinkedIn, and it's Pat Honiotes at LinkedIn. And on there, it will tell you a lot of things that you can get involved with. So that's the best place to go. I also invite, I'm one of those, I invite people, pathoniotes@gmail.com. Throw something at me. And I will always, always respond.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you. You were fun.